All right, we got sound. And we've got my happy face. Oop, let me adjust my camera real quick before everybody else jumps in here. Oh, man, come on, camera. Get on there. All right. Hey. How y'all doing? My hair's kind of a wavy, crazy mess this morning, or this afternoon. This is strange. I'm so used to doing Zoom, and now I got to pay attention to to all the chat, but I'll do my best. So, yeah, I made it. Yeah, second class today. I did one earlier on making a snowman for an IRD paid event, which was fun. So I get to do round 2. So I want to welcome you all to my workshop. I live in Visalia, California. It's kind of somewhere in between Fresno and Bakersfield. And I got a fly in here that's going to pester me all day. So if you see me swatting around, that's why. I'm going to be, I live in Visalia. I'm about 9-10 miles west of the Sierra Nevada mountains where Sequoia National Park is located, if any of you guys know where that's at. It's kind of an agricultural area where I live, so it's a fun place. Hey, Carl. Wow, hey, Doug, Harry. Everybody's jumping on board. I got 15 people in the house, and I'm sure a few more will be jumping in as we go. So let's get, time is short, so I want to get moving. And we're going to start off. See if I can get a good view of this here. This is going to be the hat for the snowman right there. So I'm going to slide my headstock over just a little bit to get better into the camera's view. There we go. That's better. And what you can see I've already done to save time during this demonstration is I've created a recess in the bottom of the hat right here. And I drilled a hole for a 1/2-inch dowel, which will help hold the hat to the snowman's head when we get to that part. It's just CA glue. This also helps me to reverse turn it. I can put a chuck with pin jaws on my lathe and use the dowel to hold it while I just finish the top of the hat. No real major cuts or anything for that. So what I'm going to try to do today, I managed to do it earlier, is I saved the bark for a natural edge brim of the hat right here. So this will be the top, and we're going to start right here. This will be the bottom of the hat, and then we're going to reverse it. So let's get rolling. First thing I'm going to grab is a 1 1/4 inch roughing out gouge. Make sure that it's only used for using for spindles. Don't try and use it for a bowl. I hear people say I use it for a bowl all the time. Not a very safe idea to do. So I'm just going to begin roughing it out. I've kind of took a branch off right here earlier that was kind of sticking out, but that's all right. So I'm going to start working back in this area and work my way towards the headstock, doing some peeling cuts. And we're going to get the speed up a little bit here. And just gently bring it in. We're just going to kind of go down and remove that bark that is on there. I'm going to turn my tool around that way. Just some really light peeling cuts. And I did have this between centers earlier, and I did put a tenon on the top of the hat so I can mount it in the chuck. Now we're getting into some solid wood. I can turn a little faster. This First, at this point, I'm going to turn off the lathe just to see what that wood under that bark looks like. You don't want any surprises. Now, this is going to make a very interesting hat for a snowman, I must say. Some of the wood is a little punky right there, so we might lose a little bit of that, but it's just going to create that much more natural look to it. We lost a piece of bark there, but that's all right too. Ain't really too picky about that part. It's just a fun little snowman. So we'll just start hogging off some of this wood. And we're going to take one more look here. Since I got it down to where the jaws are, I'm going to bring in my parting tool, cut a groove right here, and that's where the top of the hat will be, and the rest of it will just be wasted away once we reverse it. Alright, just checking I'm going to do what I can to check and see if there's any questions in the chat when I turn off the lathe every now and again. So I'm just going to pick a spot right here. This looks pretty good. And this will also help determine how big of a hat diameter it will be. So we got that decided. So I can bring out the big gun and use a badan just to take this away really quick. These are all just roughing cuts right now. Whew. And I think I should put my shield on for this part. I'm getting a mouthful of shavings. Hope my voice doesn't get too muffled sounding. If it does, just let me know in the chat. And we'll have a look-see here. Yeah, it's going to be really pretty. So I'm going to add just a little bit of just a slight cove in there just to give the hat a little bit of a shape. And I'll start that with the banana and finish up with a spindle gouge. Just get a little bit deeper here. And then need the top a little bigger diameter. I'm getting shavings stuck on the tip of my badan, that's why it's kind of jumping around like that a little bit. You do a lot of shaping with one of these things. Alright, that's about all the shaping I can do with that, so I think Carl is going to like this part. I'm going to bring out a round nose easy wood tool and just kind of make that shape with it. And I'm might be a little too high with the tool rest, so I'm going to lower it just a hair. And we are on there now. So just some. And we're just giving it some shape here. Instead of just a straight up and down stovepipe type hat, we're just going to make this hat look like it's been around for a little while by letting it cave in towards the center a little bit. There we go. Now this is where the hat band's going to be. That's why I'm leaving that flat like that. It'll look nicer. So we are just about done with that. I think I can go a little bit thinner with the rim. Not much. I'm afraid if I go much thinner though, some of that bark's going to start peeling off even more. So I just might leave it at that. Set this tool down over here. Alright. Claustrophobic, crazy masks, I tell you. Alright, so I'm going to get my parting tool and I'm just going to start cutting this right off right here. And then we'll reverse it and finish the top. Let's see. I'm not going to sing. Now, Carl, he's never heard me sing, so I don't know how he could love that. And no, I'm not going to get a tattoo either. Cacao. And I'm just getting this down far enough to where I can get my pull saw and just finish the cut. Before I reverse it. So you don't want this thing flying off, breaking somebody's nose. Nice gentle cuts in there. No, nothing aggressive when you're getting that thin. All right. Cacao. So we're just going to cut this off and we're going to reverse it and just finish the top of the hat. Put a finish on it. Probably later. I like to put walnut oil is really nice on the hats. They're easy. It's easy to apply and it dries real quick and you don't have to spray the fumes everywhere. All right, so we got that. And what we want to do is we want to reverse it to get rid of that little button on top. So what I need to do is take this out. Trash can time. Oh, there it goes. And I need to pull this chuck off and put my pin jaws in. Grab that chuck that has the pin jaws. It's handy to have extra chucks, I'll tell you. I lived for so many years with just one. It just drove me crazy for a long time, and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to invest some money in that. So this is just going to rest right up in there, just like this. I'm just going to clamp it down really well. See how well it's running true. Okay, so it's not quite running true. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can just tap it into submission a little bit before I tighten it all the way down. There we go. Good enough. Just a gentle. It's a little loose, but I'll just take some really light cuts towards the headstock with a spindle gouge, freshly sharpened. Yeah, she is running out of true a little bit, but she'll be all right. Really? Oh, maybe not. That is too far out. So I'm going to bring my tailstock up just to get this tightened in there well. Get it centered a little bit better. Oh, I need to pull this chuck out. Put Put my tail center in. Get it. Sorry about this, but sometimes these adjustments are necessary. I'm just going to loosen it up so I can true it up, move it just a hair. Let's bring that tail center up now. Still going to run out of true a little bit. This will give me a little extra support. I'll get most of that taken care of. All right, back to it. Yeah, that's much better with that tail center in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create just a slight concave on the top just for looks and design. And I'm just going to double check on the tightness of this before I pull the tailstock back away. Yep. Give another good crank. And we'll see how much this is still wobbling before I go for it here. Alright, so now that's running a little bit truer. There's that fly. Just using the tip of the tool, tear that down. And then the hat will be all set to go. There's that little button on the top there. Little high spot, so I want to get rid of that. Let's see what we've got. Oh yeah, it's pretty nice. I still got a little bit I want to get rid of right there in the center. So I can see some tool marks. Just nice and easy cuts, nothing aggressive. Yeah, that's much better. So at this point I would sand it, but I'm not going to do that today because that is a very boring thing to watch. So now we got the hat done. All set and ready to go on the top of a head of a snowman. So now what I need to do is switch out to my chucks again really quick. And I'm going to put that other one back in. Just because I also put a tenon on the wood that I'm going to use for the body of the snowman, which is right here. I already put the tenon on there, as you can see. Just to save time during the demonstration. So I kind of jumped ahead just a little bit. I used my spindle roughing gouge to turn it round. It was just a block of a sugar pine like this, except this one was just larger. I like the sugar pine that comes out of the foothills and mountains locally here. And really it's a nice wood. It doesn't have a lot of punkiness to it. It doesn't have a lot of sap or anything with it. It's a really nice wood to turn for a pine. I'm going to bring up my tell center here and just center it. Make sure everything's locked in place. Now we're going to tighten it down. I'm going to leave my tell center in position for now for extra support. Check to see if I got any questions. Cacao, is that for chocolate? Robin, I don't know if that's for Rob or chocolate or if it has a whole different meaning to it. So I'm going to put my larger tool rest in here so I don't have to keep moving my banjo back and forth. So I'm going to determine how I want to do this. So I usually do it thirds and 2/3. That's just a design thing, nothing really important. So it's 9.5. So let's just call it that'd be too big for the head. So we're going to start right 6 1/4. And this will be the body, and this will be the head. How are we on time? Okay, we're right on the money there. Now this part goes really, really quick. I use a roughing gouge for most of the shaping. So let's get to it. Turn it down just a hair there. Got a little bit of vibration. You can get a lot of this done using this. I forgot to finish that pencil mark there. I'll be driving without his headlights. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to put a parting tool right where that mark is. I'm going to put a parting line. There we go. It's about 1/3 into the diameter there. This allows me to come in here and just do a really quick peel cut. Get the shape of the head going here. And I can get this part of the body going too. So we don't want the head as big as the body, so we're going to just kind of peel this down a little bit. Forgot to do that before I started cutting those angles on there. Woo! Making the chips fly. There we go. Mouthful of chips. Oh my gosh, I forgot to flip the camera over. Sorry here. Let's get that one. That's a good one. Sorry about that. So what I did is I did peeling cuts. Take the head down the size of the diameter there. Now I'm just creating angles just to start that nice round top for this guy. Same here. Bring that around, kind of do some little bit of shape in there. All right, so now I'm going to bring out my 1/2 inch, if you can call it that, detail gouge. It's kind of large for a detail gouge, but it's pretty nice. It's a Thompson tool that I really enjoy using. It's a really shallow fluted spindle gouge. So I need to lower my tool rest some for this tool, because it's not quite as forgiving as that roughing gouge is. So I'm just going to start rounding everything over. I've got the tool on my side. Yeah, you guys can kind of see that on the camera. And I'm just got the tool at about 45 degrees. And I'm using my body to swing the tool around. And as I get towards the center, I turn the tool almost at 90 degrees. And at the height of this tool rest right now, that's about as far as I can go. So we're going to do an opposite cut going the other direction. Same type of move though. 45. The closer you get into this area down here where it gets tight, you want to turn the tool almost to 90. Not quite. You don't want this top wing catching on that piece of wood. It's not a very pleasant thing to happen. And it's still a little bit flat right there, so I want to get rid of that. Some light cuts. And his face is a little oblong, but that's alright. He's a snowman. Snowmen aren't made perfect. So we're going to narrow his head down here coming into the body a little bit. Design opportunities abound when you're making snowmen. There we go. That's what I was looking for. And now I'm just going to do some shear cuts with this really quick. What might work better is just bring that easy wood tool back. Do some scraping like this. Oh yeah, nicer, easier. I'm still getting into the concept of using easy wood tools. I was fortunate enough to win this set of 3 a couple years ago, and they've been like a wall hanger for the longest time, but lately I've been getting into using them more and more. I had a friend of mine that this is almost all he uses. I took some lessons with him on how to use these easy wood tools, and kind of like them now. And I got a little bit of a groove right there. All right, so it's smooth enough because this wood really sands really well. I got a kind of a hump right here in the middle, so I'm just going to clean that out of there. All right, so we are half hour in. That's all right because the decorating only takes about 15 minutes. So I'm going to do a pilling cut, kind of get rid of this little shelf here. So I'm going to come down to this end, and I want them to get kind of narrow towards the bottom. So I'm going to start working on that. Just checking and see if we got an acorn box. Who's making an acorn box? So I'm just doing some kind of shear scraping with the roughing gouge here. You don't really want any flat spots on a snowman. Oop, should be going the other way. Went beyond. You just want to keep them nice and round. No straight angles on these guys. Snowmen are ever-changing beings. They always change. I'm just going to bring this around before I grab that detail gouge one more time. Gentle, gentle. All right. Back to the large detail gouge to clean all that up. Bring that curve in. bring that in there a little bit. Got a little bit of a chatter there. I'm not sure what's going on. So I want to check the wood and see if we got something. Now, a little bit of a hardness right there and there. So it's giving a little bit of a bounce to my tool. Just slower, easier cut will take care of that. And we'll just bring this guy in here. Alright, so we're just going to do some cleanup here, some shear cuts. Back this way. And just a little bit of a cleanup right there on that curve. So I'm just going to touch it really, really quick with some 180 sandpaper. So I'm going to turn this down, move my tail center out of the way. Sort of looks like a bowling pin at this point. Just want to get most of those grooves out of there before you apply any kind of finish. And there's a hard spot right there, so I'm going to check it. You feel it when the sandpaper goes over it. It's right in there. So I'm not happy with the shape of this, so I'm going to do a really quick thing with my roughing gouge, and we will be done with this. He's still not narrow enough here. Still a little too fat towards the bottom. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to back away the tail center. And we're going to finish up that top there. This is why I like to put a tenon on the end of these so I can do a little overhanging turning there. So I'm going to grab my 1/2-inch spindle gouge and just do the cuts nice and easy towards the headstock. Oh, a little too fast there. I'm going to get rid of this high point at the top here. Kind of shape them into it. So I'm going to do a cut right down into the center. I need to change my tool rest. This one won't go any further. This is the one that came with my lathe. And the tool post isn't all that long. So once it bottoms out, like in the center, that's what you're stuck with. So this robust tool rest allows me to a lot more adjusting to do. Nice round top so the brim of the hat will fit nice and snugly with this guy. Alright, that's as far as I'm going to go as far as cutting with this one. Now what I want to do is I'm going to bring out my drill, do a few drills, drill a couple holes here. First I want to get my locking pin in my lathe here, so it doesn't move around on me. So I want the hat to be tilted just a little bit. But there's a fine line between too much tilt and no tilt. And even just putting a hole right here off center is enough to give a nice gentle tilt to the hat. If you come out here, you're going to have a hat that looks kind of awkward on your snowman. So, whoop. All right, now it's locked. Okay, so here we go. Got my tool rest in the way. There they are. For this drill bit, I need to put a center point, or knock a little hole in there. because of the drill bit, the type of drill bit it is. And just a little starting hole so that the bit doesn't wander on the wood. And just kind of match that, what kind of tilt this hat you want. If you want it tilted just about like that, then you just kind of so I'm going to grab that hat we made earlier, make sure it's going to sit all the way down on them. Okay, the hole's got to go a little bit deeper. Just not so deep you're going to come out the other side. That would not look good. Okay, so this almost just a couple more centimeters, I think. There we go. That should do it. There we go. And you just turn it to where it looks kind of nice on there. Back this up a little bit there. You guys can see it a little better. So we got a tilt to the hat. And I made sure with the grain, I like to have the little circle of the grain on for his nose right there. So that's what I was shooting for when I decided where to put the hole. Now I want to make a hole for his nose right there. So we're just going to go straight in. I already have some carrot noses made. You don't need to go very deep for this one, though. You don't want the nose to go too far in there. And I also got him a little pipe. So we want to put a little pipe right here in his nice little mouth there. So we're going to, again, not too deep. And we can grab those two things and see how they look. Before we take this off the lathe, there's his nose. There's his little pipe right there. So, and he'll have his hat just like that. So we are all set to take this guy off. So I'm going to grab my parting tool and just part it down and part him off of the lathe here, doing an undercut so it'll sit nice and flush on a tabletop. There it goes. I forgot to take my locking pin out. And he still has his nose in there. All right, here we go. Time is doing really well. So I need to lower my tool rest just a little bit and lower the speed a little bit. It's a little too high. There we go. So I'm just doing an undercut kind of part here. Going back and forth so the tool doesn't bind inside. Came off too soon. That was my last cut too. Let me get this really quick. I was gonna cut him off with my saw, but I guess he had other plans. But he will come loose, and I'll trim that up and sand it nice and flush. So we got the body made. So I'm just gonna move a couple of tools out of the way here, and then we'll get to my workbench camera. Let's see if there's any questions in the chat real quick. Should the snowman be vaping? different. That's an odd question. Not quite sure if that's the right thing for a snowman. Although he might not melt as quickly with no fire. Alright, so we are ready to decorate this guy. So let me switch cameras. Get that on there. Woo! Dusty. There we go. Got my workbench up there. Alright. So normally I would have had this guy all oiled and ready to go and final sanding and things like that, but we're going to bypass that right now. First thing I want to do is I want to decide what kind of eyes, so I'm going to take a really quick vote with you guys. I might just go for this anyway and use upholstery pins for his eyes. Like that and like that. They sort of look like coal, but they got little designs on top. Kind of neat. So let's do that. The last one I did, I put googly eyes. You guys have all seen these little plastic eyes. So let me get my little hammer here, my rawhide hammer, and we can tap those little boogers in there. Oop. Oh, something just fell over. Oh, my paintbrushes, no problem. So I'm just going to tuck him in between these little and center him up. We'll just tap these in there real gentle, like get them going. They're a little low. I'm gonna see if I can pop that one out. It kind of went in a little low. And I'm doing the same thing I did earlier. I keep bumping that camera with my big old head. So that little hole is not going to show up because this is still going to cover it. Just kind of moved on me a little bit there. So I'm going to just press it in there a little ways before I start tapping. That's better. So I'll grab one more of those. Do my best to line them up. Almost push them all the way in there. So we got the two little eyes, and then we got his nose that'll go right there. There's a little pipe that will be glued in. I've got something right there, but that's all right. Let me get rid of that mark real quick. I don't know what that is. I think it's a pencil mark from earlier. That's all right. He's a little demo guy. He's going to sit on my shelf for a long time. So now what I would do is I would get some buttons. And I'm going to use this, what is it? Aleene's? It's a craft glue. You can get it like Michael's and Hobby Lobby and stuff. This is a clear gel. And I really like it because it doesn't run. I'm just going to squirt some out there. Put a little more here for another button. Put another one here for this button. Just want enough glue to where when you press the buttons in, that it squeezes through the holes a little bit. That way you know it's going to hold. And we'll put a little, whoop, that one went bye-bye. We'll put another button there. We'll put another red button on the bottom here. got the buttons on him. So I'm going to set him to the side while that dries a little bit. And I'm going to grab the hat and we're going to put a hat band on him. So what I like to do is I just go down again to the hobby stores like Michael's and stuff, and I buy the Christmas ribbons, make hat bands out of, and kind of like this Merry Christmas one. So I'm going to cut this on an angle because this really helps with the material not shredding on the ends when you do that. I learned that from my grandma many years ago. I don't know why she told me that. So I need to turn this over and just measure how big of a piece I need. Don't want to go too much. Got Mr. Fly buzzing me around my head there. Alright, so that'll right there. Another crooked cut. I'm going to get some masking tape to help hold it in place once it's glued. Put this ribbon aside. I've got a fan blowing on me here. I want to make sure we don't put Merry Christmas upside down. Decide where part is the best looking part for this. In front of them, and that really looks good. So what you want to do is you want to go all the way into the back. That's where you want to glue this. 10 minutes, wow. Okay, I'm doing well. Just hang in there with me, people. Doesn't take much glue to hold this on. And we'll just bring this around just like this. We'll tack a little more glue here, right under the material. And kind of pull it tight a little bit there. And we'll grab that piece of masking tape and just lay it right over the top of that. And once it's dry, it's going to hold and the masking tape will come right off. We got a nice little hat band going. Now add a little detail to the hat band. I'm going to get this little reindeer on the hat. But I want to glue that to the wood itself. I'm going to put it right here, the glue. You can find all this stuff at Hobby Lobby, believe it or not. They are Christmas kings when it comes to the holidays, I'll tell you. So we got that guy. I need to turn off my fan for this part. Because I'm going to put a feather in his hat band. And I don't want a little too long. I can trim it. There's a nice one. There we go. So this would probably just go right here. So I'm going to turn it around. Put a little dot of glue under the hat band there for the feather to rest in. Come on, glue. There we go. Got that facing backwards. Got to do it right, facing the right way. And just kind of tuck that into the glue. That. There we go. We got a nice little hat going there. Now, once it, it would be darker when it's finished. This is a finished hat right here I did earlier. And this is just walnut oil on this. It's almost the same kind of wood as mesquite, and it really darkened it up big time. So the last thing, I'm not going to put the pipe in right now because I got to tape it in there and make it stiff and hold and all that kind of stuff. So last but not least, we need to give the little guy a scarf. And I do drive the people at Hobby Lobby crazy when I go in there and ask for 6-inch wide by 3 feet long pieces of material. And I'll pull like seven designs of material off to make scarves, and they have to sit there and they have to cut each one, and it drives them crazy. They kind of frown whenever they see me heading to the material section in that store here in Visalia. They kind of they kind of want to run and hide, actually. Got a few threads hanging there, so I'm just going to snip those away. Nothing like a good pair of scissors to cut material with, that's for sure. Gotta be crazy otherwise. Alright, so I'm going to grab his pipe and just hold him. I'm going to put my face cam on here. And let's get this guy up here. Gotta turn him around. And once I glue this pipe into his little mouth right there, my camera's looking the other way. Yeah. We got ourselves a little snowman. Alright. Alright. So, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys coming and joining everybody during this all-day event. I know I'm right before Carl, and Carl's a great woodturner, and I really like watching his demos, so I hope you guys will switch over to his camera or his channel. And he's the last one for today, and maybe we can get him to juggle and sing Gilligan's Island. Sorry, Carl, I just had to say it. So anybody's got any questions? Just put them in the chat before we move on to the next one. I got done a little earlier, yeah. Right on. And please, if you want, subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to at least hit 100 subscribers, and I'm only like 7 people away. So if you feel the inclination to do that, I'd really appreciate it. So I'd like to see that jump up. I guess you get a few more options in YouTube once you hit 100 subscribers. So anything that'll help. Looks like it's been snowing in my shop. All right. Thank you very much. We'll catch you next time. Stay tuned for Carl. Switch over to his channel, and we'll see you later. All right. Thank you. Have a good day wherever you are in this wonderful world of ours. Good night.
All around them, children playing, having fun. It's the season, love and understanding. Merry Christmas, everyone. Time for parties and celebrations. People dancing all night long. Time for presents and exchanging kisses. Time for singing Christmas songs. We're gonna have a party tonight.
my